Hello and welcome back to the channel. For today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you how I made this transparent backless corset. So if you haven't yet seen the drafting video, I'm going to leave the link at the description box, or you can go down to my channel. So let's start. So the first part we'll be working on is on the front part of this corset, and on the pattern I didn't add allowance. That's why I added allowance to the mesh, and I added ½ inch around the cup also. So on the mesh part, I cut out 4 pieces of this. So why I did this is so that the dress won't be too transparent, and the mesh I used was a bit hard. I didn't use the soft one, so I went ahead to iron it out. I just ironed it out slightly so that I won't burn the mesh. So bear with me if the quality of the video is not that good. I had to record with another phone because my phone is not good right now. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the first and the second one and you're going to place it together. So after doing this, I'm going to take the third mesh also and I'm going to place it on it, and I will arrange. So after doing this also, you're going to take the fourth one and you're going to place it on it also, and you're going to go ahead to arrange it. So after arranging it, you're going to top stitch round it to hold it down. So after top stitching it, this is what I have. As you can see, I went ahead to top stitch it round to hold it down. So after doing that, the next thing, I'm going to wrap up some part of this front part. So I turned it to the wrong side. This is about 1 inch. You can go ahead to use a velvet bias if you also have that. I'm just going to cut sew with ½ inch, then flip it to the other side, and I will top stitch. So after top stitching on it, I'm going to do this to the upper parts of the other side and by the side of the corset also. So I've gone ahead and I have folded it round. So the next thing I'll do is to work on the cup. So I'm just going to carefully place the cup. So I'm going to separate the sides of the cup first. So I'm going to unpin my pattern. So after separating the side, I'm going to separate the lining, and I'm going to take the gum stay and I'm going to place it underneath the lining. So I'm using a bridle for the lining of the corset. So I'll make sure the shiny part is facing the wrong part of this lining. So after doing that, next I will be bringing up the other side of the cup. So just the same way I place this, I'm also going to place the other side of the cup carefully. I'm going to place the velvet part together, and then for the lining I'm going to separate it and I'll place my gum stay underneath it. So after doing is to go over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch with ½ inch by the sides. So after doing that, I'll be working on this part. I'll go ahead, iron gum stay on it, and I'm going to top stitch it to make sure it sticks to the fabric. So after that, I'm just going to place it and I'm going to join my cup. I'll also repeat it to the other side. So after joining my cups, this is what I have. So you're just going to take this on this cup, already made cup that I'm using, but we'll get to that part. So over to this part, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to stitch it down to the front part facing up this way. So if it doesn't fit to your cup, what you're going to do is to notch it round so that it's going to fit to the space you have. And while sewing, I'm going to leave about ½ inch up because I'm going to be using it to join the other cup to it. So I'll repeat this for the both sides. So I cut out a strip of fabric and I sewed it. So how you're going to get this is you're going to measure from your under bust round your neck to down to the other side of your under bust too, and after that you're going to place and top stitch it after you must have joined your cup. So after this is what I have, and I'm just going to unpin it and show you what it is looking like right now. So after attaching this fabric I cut out for the neck piece, this is what it is looking like right now. And what we'll be working on next is the main cup part. So this is it. What you're going to do is you're going to place your fold your cup into two. and you're going to create a 3 inches dart on your cup. You're going to fold it this way and you're going to sew a 3 inches dart on your cup. So I'm done doing that on my cup, and this is what it looks like right now. Now I'll take the front cup and I'll place it on it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to drag the fabric around the cup very well. And when you're doing that, make sure it's either you notch this part or you iron it flat. So I ironed mine flat, and I'm just going to place it on it, and I'm going to drag it to make sure it's flat. I don't have any pointy edge on the cup. So after dragging it, you're going to make use of your pin to hold it down to make it firm. So after I did that, I went ahead to top stitch on the cup round. I sewed it round. So right now what you're going to do is that ½ inch you left on the front part of the cup, you're going to place it on it and you're going to stitch it up with ½ inch. So I'm just going to pin it down just to make it more easy for you to understand what I'm saying. Now after sewing, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to notch this. So after notching it, you're going to flip it in this way. So after flipping it in, you're going to make sure the lining sits very well with the bra cup area. So after doing it, you're going to fold it in and you're going to top stitch on the cup of, you're going to top stitch, and that sewing allowance you have at this part, you're just going to take it in, or you're going to notch it and you're going to place this on it and top stitch round your cup. So whatever I do to this side, I'm going to do to the other side. So if you're going to find it difficult also to do that, it's best for you to go ahead to pin it down before top stitching. Going over to the skirt pattern, this is what I have. On the lining part, I went ahead to minus 2.5 inches, or you can minus 2 inches, just to give the lower part a turn up effect. Now we are going to be stitching the lower part. So I'll take the lower part of the lining and the lower part of the skirt and I will place it together, and I'm going to stitch with ½ inch at the lower part. So after top stitching that, this is what I have. The next thing is to give it a turn up effect, and what you're going to do is you're going to push up your main fabric and you're going to measure about 1.5 inches from there. So after that, you're just going to sew with ½ inch on the side and on the other side. So whatever you do to this part, you're going to also do that to the other side, and you're going to also do that to the back part of your skirt. So I'm done sewing the skirt, and this is what I have after turning it up. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to join the lower part of the skirt to the upper part of the front. Before I do that, I want to slit my skirt, so I'll be turning it to the wrong side. Now to slit your skirt, you're going to take note of where you want your slit to be, on the right or on the left, or you want it by the side or at the center. So since I want mine at the center, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the point I want my slit to stop. So what you're going to do is that point you marked, you're going to measure across it, starting from that sewing allowance down to the other parts, the stitching allowance where you stitched on it, and whatever you have, you're going to divide it by 3 and you're going to mark. So after doing that, you're also going to measure the lower point also and mark. So if you want the slit to be at the center, you're going to measure whatever you have and you're going to divide it by 2. So after measuring and dividing by 2, so if you want the slit to be by the right, you place your tape at that point and measure whatever you have from that side. So after drawing it, I'm just going to mark ½ inch right around the slit, and I'm going to stitch on it. After stitching on it, that's when I'm going to open up the slit. So this is like the easiest method for slit. So I've gone ahead and I've sewed ½ inch round and I went ahead to slit it. So what I'm going to do right now is to turn it to the right side. So after turning it to the right side, this is what I have, and I will be joining the upper part to the lower part of the skirt. So after joining the upper part to the lower part, this is what I have, and we'll be moving up to the back part of this corset. So for the upper part of the back pattern, this is what I have. I went ahead to add ½ inch round, and I added allowance, and I also cut out a bridal satin for the lining, so I didn't see a crepe lining, so I'm making use of a bridal satin. So next I will be stitching up the lining with the fabric. So I'm just going to open what I have into two, and I'm going to take my lining, place on it, and I'm going to sew right round. So after sewing, I'm going to leave the under part open because I'll be turning it up from that part. So this is what I have after I'm done sewing. What I'm going to do is just to create a boning channel on it, and to do that I'm just going to top stitch on this fabric. I'm just going to create a boning channel on it, and I'm going to pass my boning through it. So why I'm doing this is because the front part has no boning on it, so I'll repeat the same process on the other one also. So next I will be bringing the lower part of my skirt, which is for the back part, and I've gone ahead to stitch it all through, leaving the zipper allowance. So I also turned it up when I was turning the front pattern. So what I'm going to do right now, after adding my boning, I'm just going to stitch it up with ½ inch, and I'm going to go ahead to insert a zipper on it. Next I'm going to attaching it. What I'll do is to place the back, and I will go ahead to join the. So after sewing, this is what I have. If you find this video very interesting and informative, please hit on the subscribe button. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and see you in our next